so that they can track the results, right? Because, one of the guys on my team, he used to be a owner, like a club, and he felt like it was a bit difficult because it was hard for him to prove that his activity resulted in people going to the clubs or to the bar, to the restaurant. So figuring out how to allow the owners to understand where the traffic is coming from and the influence that a product like this has is certainly important. I think that maybe the direction that you took for Lean Startup Weekend, where you talk with promoters.
Yeah.
Why not enable promoters to resell this? Like give them the training, give them the higher level support, but you have an army of promoters who just go. If I'm a promoter and I work with 10 restaurants and bars, then you let them become the community manager for the 10 restaurants and bars, and they sell a package. So you train them exactly on how to sell it. Because I think it's pretty hard to scale like smart people to kind of figure out these solutions at the ground level for SMBs. It's a very difficult business, like a bar or a restaurant, right?
Yeah. So the other thing is to focus on agencies, right? Because I mean, we do have the advertising API access now. So, and there's a lot of agencies who have huge budgets with advertising, right?
Yes.
And maybe that's the better way to go, because we don't really necessarily have to stay with the SMBs, right? I mean, maybe with our advertising API access, and if we have a big data related product, like big data meaning like, let's say we start storing whatever Facebook allows us to store in terms of the user profile data, their social graph data, and we can start think of advertising API plus something turns into like a really sort of a big data advertising optimization play for an advertising agency to use.
See, I think, me personally, I think that SMBs is a sexy market because there's so many SMBs, but it's one of the hardest challenges to crack.
Everybody has a problem with that one, actually. Nobody knows how to really crack the SMBs right now.
No, like I think that the guys like Reach Local or Yodel, like they're doing a pretty good job, but they have such a heavy sales force.
They have a real heavy sales force. They raised a lot of money. I think they raised. These guys have raised at least $10 to $15 million or even more, and they've diluted themselves pretty much a lot on the company itself. So. Right. But yes, you're right. I mean, they're probably the two that are most successful right now. And I know Yodel is not really profitable, but Reach Local is slightly profitable.
Right.
And then there's local.com, obviously. But it's really it really is hard to scale in those companies. It's true. You need either you need somebody to have a lot of money, and then so.
So here's what I think. I think strategically. Do validation with the bigger agencies, find out how much money they're willing to pay for some of the unique benefits. Like I actually still, me personally, I don't understand why the API is so special. And when you can teach me a little bit more about that, we can go in and we can do validation with the bigger agencies to say, figure out how to create a tailored product for them. And I think if you want to tackle the SMB market, do it through a reseller channel. And let's talk about dealing with like daily deal sites where they have a sales force, they want to cross-sell and upsell, and we can create the right product, then leverage their sales team to sell it and just support them.
That's smart. That's really smart. Yeah.
Because I don't believe in hiring 1,000 mouths to feed, because that's way too difficult. That's too much work. I don't want to do that. I'm lazy.
Yeah, me too. No, I agree.
Okay, so that's the direction that I would recommend going. Mm-hmm. I definitely think this sounds pretty cool. Like the product manager role is more like a customer developer role at the moment. It's very little. It's mostly uncovering how to position the strategy. So it's more of like a strategy customer development role, less about product management, because your product is not complete. I mean, the parts are there, but it's not packaged.
Yeah.
The way it needs to be, and I think that's the gap you're trying to figure out now.
That's correct. That is totally correct.
And so you've raised money for App Addictive, right?
Yes.
So is that what's fueling you? Because right now there's no income coming in from any of the clients.
Well, but we have revenues from the clients, right? We have the services side, which is still part of App Addictive, right?
Okay.
App
Can you
addictive.
give me an idea of what services means? Like, are you building fan pages for them? What are you doing?
Oh, you know, sometimes, yeah, so we have fan pages for them, but sometimes the agencies themselves want to create a social media product, like some kind of like a social media measuring product that they themselves use, you know, or
Okay.
and so an example would be, you know, going for looking at all the bloggers who blog about certain technology gadgets, right? And then find out their cloud score, find out their number of followers and stuff, and rank them, right? And then they're going to use that database to pitch to their clients, because these are agencies, by the way, to their clients, that these are the guys that are influential. These are the guys we should go after. These are the guys we should take care of, right?
Right.
So it's kind of like the agencies themselves have their own little startup product that they're thinking of, and they outsource to let us do the project for them, right? So you know, some of these projects are in the 20,000 range or something like that. Some of them need a mobile app type of stuff related. I'm sorry, maybe need a mobile app developed. So we have some of that stuff. So that's what I meant by services. And some of them need Facebook pages developed. Some of them want us to manage their Facebook pages. And you know, honestly, we have a lot of leads that we haven't really pursued that too well, because like you said, we're sort of always in that a little bit of a market segmentation crisis. Like, do we go after the agencies, or do we go after the SMBs? But the services side is sort of, you know, keeping our burn minimal right now.
Okay.
And that's one of my criteria when I brought on JC and Shasha, is that let's have a culture, be a humble culture where we don't mind doing some services work right now, because to be frank with you, we still have not figured out the exact product to accelerate on. And so I've been waiting until, and then I told them, and then we said, let's wait until we get the advertising API access. I'll show you, like I'll post on your Skype a little video of how these big agencies use an advertising API product, right? I'll post it on the Skype right now.
So right now, how many social media strategy agencies are there?
Oh, there's a lot. I mean, there's a lot. We actually are turning down some of the services work right now, because we don't want to become too much of a body shop. So I just wanted to keep us, our services business, sort of, people are aware that we're out there, and then, it pays for, like, the lights in the office, and maybe,
Pays for your bills.
Yeah, pay our bills, keep our awareness, so that if our business were to fall off or something, if our product were to fall off, we can always go back to services. Because I see this a lot in a lot of these companies that raise a lot of money. They treat money raising as revenues, and they start thinking that they're way above doing services work for people. They start having this mentality that they're a cool startup and stuff. And then, once they stop raising the money, they just shut down. I don't want that. I want us to think like, we can always do some services work if we have to. But our goal is to really, once we find something to accelerate on, we're going to step on the pedal and turn it into something where we can sell it off to somebody right now. I mean, there's a lot of potential people who could acquire a company like ours if we get all the pieces right.
Right. Okay. So I think if your point of differentiation right now is the Facebook API access, then let's definitely talk a little bit more about what's unique about it, why people want it, what can they do with it. Like, if you can educate me more, then I can think more about a strategy about how to approach it, because I think that if there are so many social media agencies out there, but they can't get approved for the API access, then you could be the middleman between them servicing their other clients.
Yeah, exactly. And in fact, I'm pasting you a short video right now, 2-minute video of one of the competitors. This is the company that was bought out by Buddy Media, right? So here's the interesting thing, right? When agencies have a budget of, let's say, $100,000, usually they have higher than that, like $200,000 to splurge on online advertising, right? They don't really know which image to use to begin with, and which message to use, right? So what they end up doing is they start uploading, like, a finite number of images, a finite number of messages, a finite number of headlines, and then they use these ad optimization tools to create a permutation, you know, so you can just imagine 5 times 5 times 5, that becomes 125 permutations, right?
Right.
And they just automatically upload it to, let's say, Facebook's advertise ad manager. So the ad API access communicate with the Facebook's ad ecosystem, that we can actually upload ads to it, and Facebook would actually accept our ads, our whatever we upload to them. And likewise, we can download from Facebook's ad ecosystem, download it to our local database.
Okay.
So
for a client, what does that mean for a campaign? Like, does that mean that you can do real-time personalized messages that are optimized for results?
You can, well, I guess that's the holy grail at some point, but what it means is, for example, right now, let's say Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola has the polar bear, Coca-Cola has the Santa Claus, Coca-Cola has, I think they also had once they had a polar bear, Santa Claus. They might have some vintage Coca-Cola images to use for their ad. They don't know which of these will generate the most click-through rates, right? So they'll upload like 3 or 4, and then they'll test out 4 messages. Is the message drink Coke, it adds life, or is the message more like, you know, always Coca-Cola and all that stuff? And then they'll just upload them and then run it like so let's say they have $200,000 budget. They'll run like $50,000 on all these permutations, and then like after a week they'll say, okay, the right image to use is the polar bear, and then the right message to use is always Coca-Cola, and then the remaining $150,000 or something, they'll spend it on that image, right? And then just buy ads on Facebook for that. So what that does is, so usually a lot of these ad optimization platforms, they'll charge the Coca-Cola, let's say 7 to 10% of the ad budget, right? Just to optimize it for them.
Right. Is that the space that you want to play in?
Something like that. Something that's where we want to be. And the funny thing is, right now Facebook is starting to revolutionize the whole ad industry. People have been conditioned to think like Google ads right now, buying ads. So Facebook announced this whole thing called sponsored stories now, and there's a whole change now, and like Facebook is trying to basically replace the last 50 years of ways of advertising, which is very interruptive. And now Facebook is just saying, you log on to Facebook, you see what your friend does, and you as Coca-Cola, you can pay Facebook to amplify that message. So for example, if I logged onto Facebook, and then you actually engage with Coca-Cola, you actually you actually drank Coca-Cola yesterday, right? Or Coca-Cola can now pay Facebook, right, to actually amplify that message so that it'll be seen by a lot of people on the right hand side of Facebook. So it'll say something like, Dave Tran just tried out the Coke Zero, and just amplify that message now, right? So it's kind of like trying to they're on a crusade to turn around the whole ad industry, as opposed to having an ad that says introducing Coke Zero. They'll just say like, Dave Tran just drank Coke Zero yesterday. And Coke Zero is our new product, right? And the idea now is, so there's some buzzwords that Facebook is using called threshold of adoption, right? Everybody has a threshold of adoption. I have a threshold of adoption. You have a threshold of adoption. Now, how do brands lower my threshold of adoption? Brands lower my threshold of adoption by introducing their product to me through my friend David.
Yeah, to people you respect and trust.
And it doesn't have to be, so it doesn't have to be even like top influencers, right? In fact, Facebook is sort of like throwing an opposite point of view. You remember the book by Malcolm Gladwell, Tipping Point or something, where Malcolm Gladwell says in every industry there's some top influencers, and that's all you need to target and all that. So Facebook is coming up with a saying that, some of us still get influenced by Kate Middleton and everything, but the bulk of our decisions are based on some of our friends and family that we have an emotional connection on.
Agreed.
And so this is the research by a lot of these guys. In fact, Google Plus hired this guy named Paul Adams, and Facebook poached him and pirated him, and he's now working for Facebook, right? But a lot of his research is kind of throwing some of the views that Malcolm Gladwell wrote about in Tipping Point, like they're presenting different points of view. They're saying like, dude, at the end of the day, the bulk of your decisions are based on the people you're emotionally connected with, and the best way to lower the threshold of adoption is basically introducing your product through a common friend who already has used that product.
So how do you want to? Because I was recently at the Facebook kind of presentation when I was at a trade show in Toronto, and they were going through this. How do you want to leverage this using the API? Like I'm not seeing the connection between your access to the API and how we can sell that story, because Facebook already has relationships with a lot of the bigger agencies, and they're educating them on how to buy. So how can you close the gap between the strategy and then the execution part? Because really, that's where you can create an advantage, right?
Right. So so there's many ways, right? One of the things now is between David Tran and JC, right? I'm on Facebook. Should Coke say that JC drank Coke Zero, or should Coke say David Tran drank the Coke Zero? Who would lower my threshold of adoption? The fact that David drank the Coca-Cola or JC drank the Coca-Cola? Right?
When targeting Mike or targeting who?
When targeting Mike, right. So when targeting Mike, should they actually say JC drank the Coca-Cola or David drank the Coca-Cola? So that's one, but that's a little bit harder because that would have to combine our own big data kind of thing. But another option I was thinking of, and so this is where that's why we need the validated learning canvas. But one of the assumptions we made after Facebook's announcements was, okay, how about this? In the past, people would just upload images and see which ads worked well, and whichever ad worked well, they will post it. They'll put an ad on it. But now what Facebook is doing is you have to, Facebook is saying you must try to post the most engaging story. And once you found the engaging story, you pay Facebook to advertise and promote it, right? So one of the concepts we're thinking of, maybe the part of the challenge now is, how do I make my post engaging? So again, going back to that example, it's just part of the flow, but you have to insert a little bit of you have to insert one more sequence of work before you actually pay for the real ad, which is going back to that polar bear example. So let's I'm Coca-Cola. We plan next week to post something big on our Facebook page. But what is the post we should make? Should we post using the polar bear image? Should we post using the Santa Claus image? So why don't we buy some ads so that we won't clutter up our Facebook page for now? Let's buy some ads first, see which of our images would actually generate the highest click-through rate. So then we run it. So that will require ads API because you have to buy some ads. Then we see, we notice that, okay, the polar bear one is the best. Then we post a story to our Facebook page, and then we immediately, by posting, we can also post and promote and hit one button, and it also automatically buys ads, and so it passes all. It also uses the ads API at that point. So there's two instances where you actually use the ads API. When you're testing, again, you're testing which image to use, and then right when you decide which image to use, you post first, and then after you post, you promote immediately to the ads API. So we're thinking, is there a need for a product like that? So that will be like our validated learning canvas, right? So a hypothesis. Hypothesis is it's a challenge for people to figure out what post to make in this new age of timeline Facebook pages.
Right, okay.
And the hypothesis...
I mean, it's a publishing advertising tool.
Yes.
Optimization tool.
Yes, exactly.
Only agencies are going to buy that stuff right now. Like, that's way too advanced for small businesses.
Yes, I agree.
Okay. So, is anyone doing that at the moment?
I don't think so. We just thought about recently, so we don't know, and we don't even know if that's validated, right? We have to validate that assumption. But
so right now, the three agencies that you have connections with, like what type, how big are they? Like how small are they? Like what do they focus on?
So in the US, we have a division of Omnicom. We have also called PhD, and we have one called aimclear.com, which is an agency in Minnesota. For some reason, they started buying a lot of ads on Facebook, so he's become like the de facto speaker in a lot of these conferences, and they bought a lot of ads on Facebook, billions and billions of impressions.
Right.
And so that's another agency that we can talk to. And then there's a few more here in New York that we have teamed up with, but and then there's in Asia we have the Procter & Gamble of Singapore, who is one of our agencies, and then the Dentsu. Dentsu is an agency it's a Japanese brand agency, but they actually own like 15% of WPP. But Dentsu is quite big in Southeast Asia, right? So those are the agencies we talk to. So now is the time for us to start validating this product to see if this is validating our assumptions and see if this actually makes sense.
Yeah, because I didn't know the scope of whether they're all over the place or just in New York, because my mind is thinking is, I mean, coming from the publisher world, I used to deal with agencies a lot, like on the Microsoft side.
Yeah.
And I know what it's like to educate them, and then I kind of had the insider look of, I was on the publisher side, so Facebook's position, and you work with agencies, and then you work with people who are media buyers, and they're both kind of different agendas, right? There's the strategy agency, then there's the media buying agency, and it's, I don't know who's taken over now, because I've been out of the game for a few years, to figure out like who actually has this. Is it still media buyers that buy with the Facebook ads, or is it somebody else?
Yeah. So media buyers, is that the same as agency?
Well, the thing is, the agency world can be broken up, right? So that we can broken up into the media buying age, where they take all the money for ad spending and they put together a strategy. They get approval from the brand manager, and then they spend it, and then they have to track the campaign and report back the status. And then there's like the creative agency that comes up with the strategy, kind of in conjunction with the media buying, but the influence comes from the strategy team, and they design the creative. They basically design everything but where to buy and where to execute it.
Okay, so you're right. I'm not so sure. I think AimClear actually does both. They do the creative and then they get the media budget. But yeah, I'm not sure right now if it's separated at all.
So that's why. So I guess the question down is like, based on your current contact base, it's okay. It doesn't matter, because it's more of a function, right? If you function as and you have a budget for media buying, then you're going to be focused on the optimizations and how to make life easier and reporting results and stuff like that. And I think that's a cool place to play into. The question is, you're going to have to shadow some of these agency people to see what a day in their life is like. And then I would say, let's go straight to Facebook, talk to them and say, I want to shadow the Facebook team to figure out where is that gap, because I bet you any money that the Facebook team knows exactly how to do it. Their biggest frustration is dealing with the agencies, because they're dumb. It's not that they're dumb, it's the way they're structured. Agency people are very senior old people that have groomed their way through the ranks, and then they hire a lot of out-of-school kids who don't really know anything. And then these old people aren't really that savvy, and so your leadership doesn't really know the actual digital space that well, and you rely on Facebook consultants to teach you what to do, and then you resell. They basically, like when I worked at Microsoft, I used to put together the proposal strategy packages, and then the agency takes off my name, puts on their name, and then sells it to the client, and that's normally how the business works. So when I was in the game, I thought of ways to optimize the whole process, because I saw how like slow and crazy it was, like all the amount of phone calls they would call me and the babysitting. And what made me good was I would monitor their reports, call them, tell them what to do. They call their client, they look like rock stars, and then they like me, and so they keep working with me, right?
Yeah. You're the unsung hero.
Right, exactly. So that's what we need to figure out on the Facebook side, is where are the unsung heroes, what are they doing, and then create an automated way, because I think that's the real gap coming from that industry, is that you're onto something, but we got to tailor it with people who know what they're doing right now and see so many campaigns that they can talk to you about it like it's, like they're sleeping.
Yeah, totally. That's totally, you nailed it. You nailed it, right? I mean, that's where it is.
Okay, so we still don't know if it's a product they'll pay for, but I think that starting with the do you have a connection into Facebook?
Yeah, I do. I do have. Some of them are slow, but I do have connections right now on Facebook. And one of the tricks right now is, Facebook has also, so you think, should I go to Facebook immediately, or should I go to like Marty Weintraub, the AimClear guys? Because or another agency here, because one of the things is, if we go to Facebook could, this is, again, not to go paranoid, because Lean Startup says forget about it, but Facebook can tell Buddy Media exactly, right? I mean, what I just told you a while ago, the whole validated, is there a need to actually test images to know which post to put on the Facebook page?
But I think you're gonna have to get comfortable with your paranoia, because the guys that are at Facebook, the ground level team, like not the directors of directors, I'm talking about like the account managers and the account executives who who have it's their job to sell to clients like agencies, they know what's coming in and out. They see so many campaigns. They know what works and what doesn't, which agencies are savvy, what they're doing and the best approaches, and which agencies tend to listen to them.
I see. Got you. Yeah.
You have to know that. Like, you have to go to that single point of wisdom to arrive at whether or not this is even a pain that you're hitting on. If they say that, yeah, a lot of our clients are stupid, if you built this, I would gladly recommend them use it because it would make my job easier to sell more stuff and make their campaigns more successful. Because that's the end of the solution. They only care about selling more.
Yeah, no, that's true.
And the team, you have to understand too that the team that are on the ground level, like the account executive team and the account manager team, they're not entrepreneurial. Like, they're not an entrepreneurship group that is meant to be product managers and new strategy development groups, right? They're just on the ground level, hand-holding clients, trying to make people happy.
So should I contact the ad account executive level or the admin, that kind of level?
Absolutely, that's who I would go to, because if anybody has ground level experience, it's those people, because that's the job I used to do.
Okay, all right. So instead of contacting AimClear, I should just contact Facebook directly.
Oh, I think you should talk to both, because AimClear is a different perspective from the agency side, right?
Yeah.
Feel like they might feel like Facebook's pushy and they don't know what they're talking about, or maybe they won't admit to you ever that they don't really know what they're doing, and Facebook tells them all the things to do.
Yeah, true.
So you need to see it from both sides of the fence to know how to position it. At the end of the day, Facebook isn't the one giving you money. It's going to be the agency, so you need to tailor it to the agency. And the most classic example, we're going to leave. I got to wrap up the call now.
Yeah, sounds good.
We need to continue this. In terms of the product management role, I'm actually very intrigued. I can't give you 40 hours like full time on it.
Yeah.
I think a couple of days is good.
Yeah.
I think the key is if you definitely talk to the other product managers, get a feel for how their mind is in terms of strategy and development.
Yeah.
But I think you're gonna notice a difference because I am an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
And I love kind of figuring, this is what I enjoy doing.
Yeah. No,
So,
totally.
If you feel like if I can work 1 or 2 days and that fits, and kind of, if that works for you, then we can chat more. If it doesn't, I'm still happy to kind of help you out, just to, from entrepreneur to entrepreneur, helping each other out.
Yeah.
But I think you're kind of onto something, and I would be interested in helping you kind of customer develop it.
Yeah, I think 1 to 2 days is good. I fully understand you also have your own business too. So I think 1 to 2 days, even 1 day a week, we can start if that's something I definitely it's something that I'm quite open to. I can still have a product manager who spend more full time with me, but you're sort of like the lead, consultant or whatever you call it, product managing consultant or whatever, or biz dev consultant or customer development consultant or something like that, whatever you call it,
Because the way I kind of view it is we can optimize my time by, you could have me email and call these people, but if in your team you have the resources, you just figure out, okay, let's just set up a meeting with this person and that person. I can just get on the call and then kind of figure out the next step for strategy and help you lead the team. That I could take that off of your shoulder. Once you kind of get warmed up with how we're doing and you like it, you can kind of leave it with me. I can report with you and we can chat at a high level, and you can focus on doing what you need to do, which is raising investor money, building relationships, and kind of opening doors that way.
Yeah, exactly. No, this is great.
Okay.
Well, thanks a lot, David. This is great. And so there's a lot, I can see a lot of things we can work together too, and then also the mastermind group. So, so this is great.
Okay, cool. What kind of budget are you looking for your product manager?
I don't know yet. I mean, I have to, right now I was thinking, I think the product manager here, depends if they work full time or something. Maybe, I'll try to see like for a full time basis, maybe, because if it's a product manager who's not really techie oriented, I think maybe I can get it for like, I haven't talked to her yet in terms of how much she's looking for, but I think maybe it might be like 4 to 5K a month or something like that, I think. But I don't know exactly what she's gonna look for, but I think around that, some people tell me I could probably get a product manager that way, around that level, but I don't know. It really has to depend on when I talk to her. But, you know, I think something around there, you know, I'm thinking of.
Okay, yeah, I mean, talk to your product managers and feel out what you need as the skill set, and what makes them successful in the role and what you hope they can achieve. And, you know, you may be early or maybe the right amount of time. So let's, what's your schedule like tomorrow? We should just chat some more.
Yeah, tomorrow, let me look at my calendar. Hold on 1 second. So tomorrow, I'm free between 5 to 6:30, and I'm free between 7 to 8:30.
Okay.
And then I'm also free other times, but I thought I was looking, I defaulted to afternoon, but I don't know.
Yeah, it's something in the afternoon would be better.
Yeah, so I think, you know, 5 to 6:30, and probably like 7:30 to 8:30 or something like that. I don't know.
That's evening though. Do you have like closer in the afternoon? Like
I think maybe like 1 to 2 or 2 to 3 type of thing, or what?
Yeah. So I have a thing at 1 to 2. After that, like at 3 p.m. it's good. Like we can do a quick call to kind of just be a little bit more explicit about next steps.
Yeah, so I think I have somebody coming at 3:30, I think, or hold on. I have somebody coming at 4 p.m. Yeah, at 3:30 p.m. So I have somebody coming at about 3:30 p.m. So if we can do it like, I don't know.
2:30?
Yeah, 2:30?
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so let's connect tomorrow at 2:30, and we'll just figure out next steps.
Sounds good. Thanks, Dave.
Okay.
This is great. Okay, awesome.
All right, talk to you soon, Mike.
Talk to you soon. Great. Bye.
Bye.